Now it is guest time.
You're listening to me, shower.
You're listening to Eat My Brunch on Phoenix FM.
I'm joined in the studio by singer-songwriter George Bone, who is not only on our A-list with his massive tune Valencia, which we love, he's also on the Eat My Brunch track of the year with Beat Bakery with One More Time. Good morning.
It is absolutely lovely to be here. I think the last time I was here was mid-May.
Yes.
I was doing a few things before the Green Day Festival and before the Riddle with Booze Orchestra at the Golden Fleece in Chelmsford. So just, yeah, absolutely lovely to be back. And obviously it's a radio show, so they won't be able to see. But this is very Christmassy themed, and I am loving all of the decorations that have been put up.
Thank you. And also, Martin's very kindly put the Christmas hat on your head.
Yes, he has, yes.
Which we always like to see.
I didn't know he was putting it on, and then I felt suddenly like a hat go on my head, and then felt like the bauble at the back hit my neck, and I was like, oh, I know exactly what this is.
Wait, you should see the picture.
It's all right.
I've seen it. It makes me look like a school child just sitting here.
It's all right. He's taking loads of pictures. You'll never forget those. Now, you're saying last time you were in the studio was in May.
Yes.
I saw you on stage at Chelmsford. Yes. That was a really fantastic event, wasn't
Thank
it?
You. Yeah, it was brilliantly, organised brilliantly by Martin just to the side.
Yeah.
But yeah.
MJ Media. There we go.
But yeah, really lovely set. The weather was really, really nice that day, so it helped a lot. All of the acts were really, really good that day as well. Just so happened to be at the right place at the right time. I was in the middle of recovering from like just a few bits of sort of like health things because I was still working in London doing gigs like almost every night with Archer Street at that point in time. And it came at a period of time where I was like recovering and on the up from it. And so it hit really well and the response from it was really, really good. And ultimately it was just a nice event to be a part of, and especially for my first sort of stage gig in the middle of Chelmsford City Centre, so couldn't have gone any better, really.
Yeah, and hopefully it'll be happening again next year.
That would be stunning.
Because it was a massive stage and it was a great afternoon of music, and it was well done to Martin for organising it. Don't say too much because we can't hear you. So you've been gigging, you have been doing lots of gigs, having a look at your socials. What's been the highlight besides that gig?
I mean, I've been doing a bit of content crawling for the single that just came out, of course. But I did. One of the highlights was on the day that Valencia was released, I had a label gig up in Liverpool for a label called Big Condo. And they were doing a sort of one of their refresher gigs where essentially they invite artists to essentially be looked at by the label just to be like, okay, are you good enough, essentially? And I performed second in a group of 6 people that night, all lovely artists, brilliant work in their own right. And I had a few issues with backing tracks just before I went on, so I think the manager was slightly annoyed at that situation, but then I left the stage and he was like, yeah, you know what, you're all right. And by the time that like the evening was done, we were in a bar somewhere down Matthew Street. And the next thing I remember it was like 3:00 in the morning. So honestly, good night, memorable gig, great performance, can't complain.
Let's talk about songwriting. We did talk about this in May, but how do you put songs together? Are you somebody who's always writing lyrics, or do you get tunes come to you in the middle of the night, or is it keys and then the lyrics? How does it work?
It's usually me just mucking around with keys to start off with. I'm one of those people, especially when I've been learning, one of those people that like I need a structure in which to learn by, even if it's like setting like time deadlines for myself, whatever. So maybe at some points throughout the day, it's maybe just like an hour or something like that. I go, you know what, let's set this time away on like a Tuesday at like 2:00 or 3:00 in the afternoon. Let's set this time to be creative, whatever. And usually it works within me playing a few tunes on the keys, being inspired by something I've just heard that day, and then vamping over the top of it. If anything sticks, I work with it. If something doesn't, it's fine. I just make a voice note of the keys and then sort of hum over it as I'm on the train or something like that going into work.
Yeah. Now, Valencia, when you played that in May, I was beside myself because there's something when I listen to music and I hear that you've got that key change, and I can't read music. You're obviously fantastically talented like that, but I love that key change that you do, which is under the words "get away."
Oh yeah. If I may play it, if the settings are right. So it's like, and be the one to stay, we could get away. Like a nice little element of like parallelism. Yes. So it's like G sharp minor, G minor, F sharp minor, back to root first inversion. Yeah. It's a really simple key, like it's a really simple chord sequence when you're just like learning it for the first time. But then you add like some creative spice into it just to throw off a few people.
Yeah.
And it's just like I have had a few compliments about that bit in particular, just to be like, oh, I wasn't expecting that.
That's the point.
I was
yeah.
thinking it was just like a cookie cutter 4156, but also yeah.
No,
It's nice.
it does. Every time I hear it, it's weird. As a bit, listening to music, there's bits in songs that you just wait for that bit to come up, and because it's a really hooky chorus as well. But it's that bit that I go, "Whoa, that chord is just gorgeous." And even people who probably, not musicians, hear it and go and do the same thing. So that's for me. That is the bit that I go. That's a real little nugget of gorgeousness, and I love it. Now, talking about Valencia, tell us about the song, and then you're going to play it live in the studio.
Yeah. So. It all started when my friend Josh, who was studying at Berklee College of Music at the time, he invited me down to Valencia because he had to do a semester in the European campus, which is on the Science and Arts site, which, if you haven't been to Valencia, it's a really modern, beautiful building just by the coast of the Mediterranean. And he was like, come down, spend a weekend with me. We'll watch a football game there because there are 2 big Spanish football clubs there. It'll be a good weekend. And you get to stay in my accommodation, so accommodation's relatively cheap. And I was thinking, great, what a stunning weekend. On the main Saturday that I was there, we did everything that we wanted. We went to the beach, we went to a football game. We went to a house party in the evening, and his flat building was situated literally slap bang between the old town and all the lights from Jativa train station and everything. And on the other side, you could see the bars and the beaches heading on to the Mediterranean. And it was such a beautiful sight. And at that point in time, I was visiting a lot of people through Europe, traveling on my own. And it was almost that feeling of, God, I wish I had someone to share these experiences with. And the day after that, I stayed in the accommodation writing the chorus for Valencia. And then around 4 months later, I actually got round to finishing it with a brilliant singer-songwriter from Southampton called Ria Hanley. So we finished it in around mid-January, produced it up in July, mixed and mastered in October of this year, and finally got it out on November the 24th of this year.
And it's on our A-list because we love it here on Phoenix FM. And it was one of my contenders as well for Track of the Year. So I wanted to give it a mention with a few others in there too. So, it seems really unfair because when you've got to pick, an album of the year, which is Steve Mortimer, Psalms from the Gutter, which is incredible, another Essex local legend.
Absolutely stunning. Yeah.
He's absolutely amazing. And then the Track of the Year, but I had to mention a few others because it just wouldn't have been fair because I've been inundated with so much amazing music.
2023 has been such a good year, specifically for, especially just coming through and bursting through it, like local music. Maybe because I've been in that bubble and have noticed it a lot more. But especially just from my point of view, a lot of young, talented singer-songwriters and a lot of people who have established finding their feet again. It's just so great to be in that environment, and obviously very grateful for you and everyone who was bothered to play Valencia one more time, really. So very happy about
Brilliant
that.
tracks. Now you're going to hear something spectacular. Hopefully my mixing skills will be good today. But this is going to be George Bone. He's going to play Valencia live in the studio.
Thank you very much.
Oh, wow, that was amazing. Now, the mix in the studio, because we've not got this going through a speaker, it's going through the keyboard, so the keyboard was a little bit low, but you could just sing that. I mean, you're an amazing keyboard player, but you just sing it with your voice.
Just a cappella.
Yeah. just a cappella. That was amazing. That makes me go all shuddery. What about you, Martin?
How about me?
You're on your pod. Do you see that?
He's doing social media work and eating the mince pies.
He's on mince pie number 2.
No, I put the mince pie there. More festive.
As a diplomatic offer.
Sorry, George can't. He's performing at the moment. He can't eat.
Eating during the performance.
It's fine, no worries. Mine was my lift today, so.
Sorry, be nice to Martin, otherwise you'll not get back.
On the mug.
So, who are your musical influences? Who do you admire?
Yeah, so weirdly, the day before Valencia came out on the 24th of November, I got to see a guy called Bruno Major at the O2 Forum in Kentish Town on the 23rd, and he's probably the reason why I'm doing this genre of music to begin with. I remember start of 2022, getting music out there for the first time. It was a very weird time in my life, and a lot of music from harbour artists like Lizzie McAlpine, Bruno Major, Eloise, and any like London-based sort of like South of the River jazz artists like Tom Misch. Jacob Collier is also like a big example as well. So they were big inspirations for me. And it just so happened that obviously the day before Valencia was released, where it was the sort of epitome of all of these styles coming together, I just so happened to get tickets to see the guy who is my main inspiration for it. And admittedly, most of the support act was brilliant, but most of my support act was literally on my phone messaging people, just be like, hey, stream this when it comes out. But also at the same time, like, it was just one of those environments where this is the epitome of, not to have a moment to big myself up, but this was like all of the work that I put into to get to this moment. And I'm very happy that all of it paid off, to not only see my inspiration firsthand in person for the first time, but also to have that coming out afterwards. Yeah.
Where did you discover your voice?
So there were many different answers that I could give for this. And the reason why is because I used to sing a lot. Obviously, at primary school, we used to sing in assemblies and stuff like that. And from there, it was a moment, even when I was younger, that I was like, hey, I can belt this out and not sound bad doing it. Maybe this could be something that, I could work on. But it was only when I sort of started in secondary school doing choirs, accompanying myself on keys, did I think that sort of, hey, I could make a niche out of this, I could do something out of this. And probably a load of peers at secondary school got fed up with, oh, it's George on keys again doing the assembly today, but also it was just one of those things where it's like, yeah, I can see myself doing this in the long term. I went up to Durham to study music at a uni there, and then COVID hit obviously in my final year, and that was disrupted slightly. But started doing a lot of gigging in London from around 2021-22, and sort of have not really looked back from there since. So. As socially from a young age, but professionally in the last sort of 5-6 years, it's really kicked off, and that's where I found my voice and my artistic vision, if you want to put it like that.
And note perfect, you were indeed.
Bless you, Ta.
You were. Do you sing with a gospel choir? Are you part of a gospel choir?
So it's weird. Like, I MD'd a gospel choir at uni. I was part of the University of Durham's gospel choir in 2018-19, and then co-MD'd it in 2019-20. Obviously, we couldn't do a final performance at the end of the year because of COVID, but we were at the time in back-to-back University Gospel Choir of the Year competitions. I arranged some stuff for that. I did some keys work for that as well. So a lot of, I went to church when I was younger as well. I went to the evangelical church close to me because grandparents were evangelical as well. My mum came from quite a Christian background, so I naturally went to church as well, and also was asked to play keys and sing at church as well. So they're really milking me for all that was worth. But honestly, it was the place where sort of I got my sense of community, and singing in a gospel choir and having that sort of religious background to me as well. It felt like a second home. Granted, I'm not as religious now as I was back then, but also I always wear a crucifix to remind me of sort of where I was, to not muck up people and be a nuisance, be mean to people, but also at the same time just remind myself that, hey, here's where I came from, here's the roots that I want to keep grounded within me, essentially.
Yeah. I did ask you this question before, but I'm going to ask you again,
yes.
Because I've spoken to a few people, musicians, who have faith as well. Some do, some don't. But the point of being, when you're writing a song, I've said to them, do you ever feel that a song is gifted? I think I asked you this before, it's gifted from the universe. So what do you think? Do you think you get in some songs you just go, where did that come from?
If they are gifted from the universe, I feel that they will probably be gifted for other people, but they just vicariously fell in my lap, and it's sort of like, okay, I'll take this. This is me. But it's one of those things where an idea comes to your head and you think it's so pure, so you, that you can't really take anything away from it. Obviously, I write to briefs as well, so you give songs off to labels, you give songs off to other people, and you're like, do what you will with this demo, whatever. But there are those, like you say, there are those rare moments when a song comes into your head. I did a song called Go On Without Me that I wrote, literally finished writing a day before the Liverpool gig that I mentioned earlier. And it was one of those things where everything came in small chunks. So I was walking to work in Clapham, and I got a literal bit of the verse in my head, and I was like, I've got to write that down to a voice note. 3 months later, forget about the song, think of a chorus, and I'm like, that could go really well with this. So if the universe is dropping songs to me, it's doing it at a very slow pace, and I would like it to pick up the pace slightly. But no, it's. You take the good song ideas with the bad song ideas, but the bad song ideas get you through, and yeah, it's you gotta play to what you say, what the universe gives you, really.
Yeah, and you do have to write things sometimes out your system. You get that one thing when it turns into an awful track, and then you go on to the next one, and that is like the one you go, wow,
the best thing you've ever written in your entire life.
Yes, yeah, but you have to get those songs out there. Now, you've worked with, it's really weird because Beat Bakery, I was playing their track with Milena and Susanna this year and last year, and they also are the track of the year which you feature on One More Time. And then I was like, hold on a minute, George Bone is working with Beat Bakery. So how did that collab? Because I know both, because obviously knowing both of you, how did that collaboration come about?
I actually didn't know that you knew the Beat Bakery people until I was like in the studio with you in May. And I was like, I think you asked like how Mike and Brody are doing. I was like, how do you know Mike and Brody? But also, I performed at a networking event at Tallyard Studios in London. Weirdly, the DJ Sigala was also like right in front of me while I was performing at that event. So it was a lot of pressure. But it was one of those like speed dating style networking events. And it just so happened that Mike and Brody were going together. And I was going on my own because I was performing at this event. And we just so happened to sort of sit in the same sort of table as each other, and we got talking about potential things that we could work on. They gave me a few sort of beat ideas that they were sort of working on, and the second one that they gave me was what eventually turned into One More Time. So we booked out a writing room, wrote at least the large majority of that song in around a 3-hour session. We had to rewrite a bit of the pre-chorus, but just so the label that eventually did look to signing us, they were like, hey, you might need to improve this. If it's improved to a standard, then we'll sign it. It was a very sporadic relationship because we went to Tallyard Eds literally a year away from each other. So they graduated in 21, I graduated in 22. And it was not almost fate, because we obviously worked hard to be there, but it was a very weird collaboration that turned into a really beautiful thing, I think, because I would never have guessed to work with sort of like a house group, a house like pop group with my vocals, but it turned out that it just ended up being a really good combination. And the song that we released was a really good song. I'm really happy with how it's performed, and I'm sure Mike and Brody are listening. Hi Mike and Brody, hope you're doing well.
They're listening.
Yeah, they're definitely listening. But also it just turned into this really beautiful thing, and I'm happy with what we came out with, and I'm happy with the reception that it's got. Yeah,
I think sometimes with musicians as well, you can get very into your own music, and you don't want to go outside of that. And yet you've done this quite early in your career, that you're going, actually, this is a house kind of a different beat. I'm going to work and do this, and because a lot of musicians don't, they want to keep everything to themselves, and they don't share, and that way you don't get out to a different audience. Because if you've got your core music, Valencia, and then you're doing something different, which is One More Time, you're hitting two lots of people, aren't you?
As musicians, we have to be multi-talented, and I don't mean that again to boost ego or anything like that, but we have to be multidisciplinary. We have to be our own hype men, we have to be our own diarists, we have to be content creators, we have to be producers, mixers, masterers at the same time, as well as, if you want to do that top line and be on the top billing, good performers as well. Whoever you meet, regardless of what style they like to work in, it's great to sort of set those foundations going. And even if it's turning out to be like the wackiest combination of music that you end up coming out with, it's then, like we said, turns into a really beautiful thing. I think the phrase "be kind to the people you meet on the way up because you'll meet them on the way down" was very prominent, and I'm so happy that I got to meet them and known them for the last year and a half or so, and would love to do some more stuff with them.
Yeah, I hope you do, because I think all of your stars are all going up in the same direction. I think 2024 is going to be a fantastic year for all of you, it really is. Now, what song are you going to do next? Because I'm going to make you work and do another song. You're right there, Martin. Martin's okay, he's just sitting there. Are you reading something? What are you doing?
No, I'm not. You're obsessed with me.
So rude. You're just sitting there reading the book.
You're listening.
Are you listening? Right?
I have stolen Martin's mic, so he's fine. It's fine. So I felt, as both Valencia and One More Time were nominated and won your track of the year, it felt only appropriate to do them live in the studio while I'm here. So I'll make my second song the acoustic version of One More Time. And I'm doing it in slightly a lower key, not only for the fact that slightly croakier voice today, but also at the same time, the top A that I get in the bridge, I've only ever hit above a G sharp 4 very rarely. Like, it's very rare that I get up to here in a recording, let alone here in a recording.
Right.
So as soon as I got that take around 2 times when we did it live, it's like, right, let's bounce. We've done it. So I'm moving it slightly lower just to accommodate a live voice. So this is the live version of One More Time, which is your track of the year.
Brilliant.
Eyes on you, your eyes on me, moving left and right, but you're all I see. Let's make a move, don't go away. This feeling's worth too much, and I'm here to stay. I can't escape you when you say you love me, in a crowded room, and yet you're all that I see. My heart is racing when I feel you touch me, and you're showing me the way. We could stay all night, dancing to the floor, and when the mood is right, we can take it slow. And if you're feeling fine, we'll see where we can go. Just one more time, just one more time. Close your eyes and set the scene, 'cause our love isn't built for the TV screen. Start the show, set us free. Let's experiment, make some chemistry. Oh, I can't escape you when you say you love me, in a crowded room, and yet you're all that I see. My heart is racing when I feel you touch me, and you're showing me the way. We could stay all night, dancing to the floor, and when the mood is right, we can take it slow. And if you're feeling fine, we'll see where we can go. Just one more time, just one more time. We could stay all night, dancing to the floor, and when the mood is right, we can take it slow. And if you're feeling fine, we'll see where we can go. Just one more time, just one more time. We could stay all night, dancing to the floor, and when the mood is right, we can take it slow. And if you're feeling fine, if you're feeling fine, if you're feeling fine, we can stay all night, dancing to the floor, and when the mood is right, we can take it slow. And if you're feeling fine, we'll see where we can go. Just one more time, just one more time. We can stay all night, dancing to the floor, and when the mood is right, we can take it slow. And if you're feeling fine, we'll see where we can go. Just one more time, just one more time. Just one more time, just one more time.
I was singing along with that actually.
I did hear the foot tapping.
Sorry.
along,
Oh, sorry.
No.
Out of
It was
time.
really funny. It was really funny because I heard the foot tapping along, and then it went to the rip bit where it was just like slightly slower, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to disappoint the pace here. Sadly.
I didn't reach. You know what? I was doing this, wasn't I? And I didn't realise I had my headphones on. I'm so
have a
sorry.
boogie to an acoustic piece. It's genuinely fine. It was really funny, but it was genuinely fine. No worries.
You're lucky because I think I've got a shaker in my bag as well, so I could have been sitting here going. Nothing's worse when you see a singer if you're in a band that they go, I can play tambourine. You're like, no, you really can't. No, please don't.
I mean, you can. Can I choose not to?
yeah, exactly. Sorry about that. My foot
No,
tapping.
it's absolutely fine.
It's because I've got headphones on. I thought it was just like that.
You were jamming along to it. I'll take it as the biggest form of
my
compliment.
foot's so loud, isn't it? It's like stomping.
Blame it on me.
It's Martin. Blame it on Martin.
That's what you normally do.
Sorry about that. So what's the plans? Have you got is there an EP? Are you doing an EP or are you just going to keep releasing singles?
So I think where releases are going at the moment. Obviously, the more hype you can get out of individual releases, the better. It's not like where you release an album or a big EP or something like that, and then you have one release period and then sort of like go on to the next one. Especially in the age of social media where you've got to keep marketing yourself, the more that you have to market, the better. So the idea at the moment is just single by single songs, and the idea in the future, late 2024, early 25, this is how it's touch wood sketched out at the moment, is all of these singles that I release are going to be put into an album or an EP of some sort, an extended EP, maybe 6 songs or something like that, and then released early 2025. But that's like very touchwood plans at the moment. Things might accelerate depending on whether I kick off or not. Things may go a bit slower, but it's fine. We take the good and the bad all together. But yeah, I'm looking forward to what 2024 has upcoming.
And how can people support you? Because independent, I know you've got sort of a label there as well, but it's not like it used to be where you would suddenly get, £500,000 advance and taken away in a limo and then you've got to pay it back. So
I wish I had that luxury.
So how can people support? Because being an independent musician is a struggle, and also to get heard and getting people to come to gigs.
Yeah, one thing that you can do just for free is, if you want to, have a listen to the songs that I've played today on Spotify, on Apple Music. They don't pay much, but at the same time, it's a place where you can share my music to other people who might be interested. I've got loads of gigs coming up in the near future. More specifically, I've got a gig at Voodoo Keller on the 22nd. It's a mainly Christmas gig, but I will be playing some of my own stuff there as well. And in mid-March, I'm going to be doing a session at HMV Chelmsford. I'm super looking forward to getting some more stuff out for you then for release as well. On top of that, if you want to support financially, which very generous of you, but if you do, in my Linktree link, which is in my Instagram, or if you're interested, I can just send it to you and then you can pass it on. There is a PayPal link, and there will soon be a little coffee link where you can, for the equivalent of like the price of a coffee or something like that, you can help support the music that I do. You can help in larger chunks get gigs, but in smaller amounts, just it shows appreciation for work and stuff like that. And I'm very grateful for even anyone who shares any songs. But if you do want to support larger, firstly, thank you, but also that's where you can do it mainly.
And all the details for your social media will be up online, but it is just George Bone Music.
George Bone Music, yeah.
And you'll find him across social media. And as he said, Spotify, Apple, they don't pay very much, but it's good to get the numbers by people sharing it. It's an easy thing to do. And please, if you love a musician, I always say this, and you struggle out there sometimes, but I'm forever liking posts and liking things, and it takes literally none of your time to do it. But it means that because now you have to pay for advertising on quite a lot of these social media platforms, it just broadens who's going to listen. And I've heard stuff on Instagram before where I've heard a snippet of a song by an artist that I don't know, and I go, oh my god, that's amazing. And then I'll go and have a look at this, it's worth
I work
liking.
with a company called LMS UK, who are based in Portsmouth. There are a load of artists on their roster, including myself. And we have not only a big Discord community chat where it's essentially just sort of, hey, here's my music, but also at the same time, it's a very supportive group where, like, if they're nominated for something, like, we'll vote for them for it. If they've got a single coming out and there's a pre-save link, we will absolutely do so, because we all know the struggle. So it's just any promotion that can go out, any support that you can give to any independent artist, including myself, would mean the world.
He always comes across so well, doesn't he, Martin? You can speak now. I'll put your mic up. Do you want to say a few words?
Switch the microphone.
It feels like we're going to the Oscars, and now over to Martin from MJ Media. You've got to speak into the mic, though. That's it. Grab it. He's going to start.
Go on.
He might start singing if you're very unlucky.
You'll only ask me about mince pies.
No, I won't. They're very fancy mince pies. But thank you. I have to be thank you to Martin, because over the years you brought in some amazing acts, including Steve, who is Steve Mortimer, my album of the year with Psalms from the Gutter.
Great choice.
Introduced me to Steve a long time ago, and loads of acts that you've brought in over the years. So thank you for that.
No, I'm very privileged to do what I do, and it's great having yourself here. I never take it for granted, but to bring artists along to get the sort of exposure that your show gives them, And I know that's grown from, I mean, how many years have I been coming here?
Very long time.
I was a boy when I started.
And we've also got other radio stations, just to mention. We do have like BBC introducing Essex, BBC Essex are very good as well, and also the new Chelmsford.
City Sounds.
Yeah, exactly. All helping as well, putting music out.
Yeah, we've got some amazing, talented artists from Chelmsford and the surroundings, and I'm always staggered by how much talent we've got, and as I say, it is a privilege and a pleasure. I don't take it for granted. And George, it's wonderful being working with George this year. Yeah. And the Beat Bakery, I agree with you. I mean, as soon as I heard that, I was like, wow. Yeah. When I first heard that, I didn't actually think it was George, because I was thinking, I was confused as to what it was. Yeah, exactly. What's George doing this for?
No, it's good. I'm going to do a little bit of a challenge now. I think me and George might be okay, but I thought we would do a little we'll just do it. Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. That'll be your thing, okay?
Cool.
So we're doing like a little harmony thing. So cool. I'll go Merry Christmas,
Merry Christmas,
Merry Christmas.
You know what?
Now you know why I do what I do.
Anyway, here's the weather.
In fact, the weather link is coming out.
Oh, is it? Yes.
You can edit that out, surely.
I mean, to be fair,
it was good.
It was so close. It was like a half tone off, but it was very close.
Well, given half a second's notice.
You know what? Very fair. Let's give Martin a round of applause.
Yes.
Hey.
The abuse I get, listener. The abuse I get.